Welcome to the Best Music Podcast, where we see behind the curtain and discover hidden habits and success secrets of noteworthy music makers. I'm your host, Dan Spencer, and this week's featured guest is Pascal Vignie. Pascal Vignie is a preeminent French guitar player, composer, producer, and the founder of guitar-oriented trio Triple FX. His compositions reflect years of research and experimentation. His music is characterized by original themes, uncommon grooves, and a great, nay, fantastic sense of musicality and outstanding technique. Whatever genre he plays, you can recognize his guitar style instantly. His playing is centered around deep and emotional melodies. He has released many albums, performed in hundreds of concerts, clinics, demonstrations, and played at international music shows like NAMM Musikmesse. Pascal teaches in different European music schools and has had students from all over the world. He also makes free video lessons for his YouTube channel and for imusicschool.com, and is an international demonstrator for Ibanez guitars, DV Mark amps, and Zoom effects. His latest album, Funky Cyborg, is out now and available at pascalv.com and on all streaming platforms. That's pascalv.com and all streaming platforms. Pascal, thanks so much for taking time to come hang out with me today.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dan. Thanks for the introduction and thanks for having me.
Well, just to get this out of the way, of the international students you have, I can count myself as one of them. I had the great, honestly, honor and privilege of being able to be in your guitar classes in the year of 2010, over a decade ago.
2010, wow. Time passes by so quickly, that's amazing. I can't believe it's been 13 years. Wow.
Yes. And as now, as then, so appreciative of your teaching and the clarity and soul that you bring to your technical abilities. Because, you know, you have this insane level of technique on the instrument, the guitar, but you don't just leave it there. You like we said in your introduction, you really bring a lot of heart and a lot of soul into the melodies and what you're talking about. So I have a couple lifestyle questions for you, Pascal. Mm-hmm. So, you know, being a working musician, traveling around the world, doing performances, what's the number of hours of sleep you feel you need so that you're at your best to really be creative and play and be present in the moment?
Well, that's a good question. Actually, I need to sleep a lot. It depends on people, but personally, I need to get my sleep. And to function at 100% level, I need about 9 hours every night. Unfortunately, I can't get 9 hours of sleep every night, so I have to do what I can to stay in good shape. I have to say the way I eat and the fact that I train, I do some fitness. It kind of helps a lot to stay in shape and to do all the things that I have to do, because I play guitar, but I also have my daughter and I have to take care of my daughter, which is a full-time job too. So yeah, I need basically about 9 hours. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the impact you see of physical training, of exercise on music?
Well, for me, it's about the amount of energy I have throughout the day. I used to have times when I had very low energy and I was feeling very tired, and doing some fitness really helped me, to balance my energy levels and also to have more confidence, I would say, and more presence on stage. I used to get out of stage exhausted. My legs used to shake and I was like, ah. And, doing some fitness actually helped me a lot to to have a good amount of energy and to be able to do a 3-hour performance on stage and still feel, in shape and okay.
Have you ever used anything like mindfulness or meditation to impact?
I do.
Oh, could you talk a little bit
Actually,
about
I
that?
do. Yeah, I do that very often because I need that to focus on the present moment, and to let the thoughts go by, and really to be at peace with myself, and to have better sleep quality as well, and to be able to be in the present moment, whatever I do, even when I play guitar. I mean, you can play with this attitude of mindfulness thing as well when you play guitar. To be really focused on the notes you play and to be in the moment. So that's been quite challenging for me to start this, but I really need that to function perfectly and to be 100% in what I do. Yeah, that's really, yeah.
Pascal, do you have a time or times of day where you prefer to practice?
Yeah, that's a good question too. I mean, I'm not really good at playing guitar in the morning. I'm not good at anything in the morning, basically. But, that doesn't sound very professional, does it? But, I do teach in the morning and I do play in the morning, but, I'm really, I really full energetic at night. I'm a really night guy, but I have to go to sleep quite early because I have to take my daughter to school and then to start working. But, I would love to play guitar late at night. That's when I feel creative and energetic. Yeah.
I think that is professional, because the majority of the time when you're having to actually go out on stage and do your thing is going to be at night. So I think that all works out very well in your favor.
Yeah.
Now, when you're practicing technique, so this is like really hard work, hyper focused, like you have to be very, very focused on what's happening. What's the maximum duration of time you can really effectively practice technique before your mind starts to drift off and it's no longer effective?
You know what? I don't really practice technique per se.
Ooh.
No. I practice technique with my students.
Uh-huh.
And when I have them practice technique, I practice with them. So that's enough for me. I really work on my technique when I play music. And as you know, I play instrumental music, which is rather technical music. So the fact that I play all these songs and I have about 50 songs to practice, makes me work my technique, makes me work on my technique. And I get bored practicing technique, So I've been playing guitar for almost 30 years now, and I really need to get it exciting. So when I play guitar and when I go to the studio in the morning, I really need to be excited by grabbing the guitar, and I really want to to have a fresh feel. And if I focus too much on technique, I rapidly get bored. So I've always worked on technique, but not directly. Like when I was younger, I would work on my favorite guitar players' music. I would copy them. I would borrow stuff and licks from them. But I would also make my own music, and I would practice. I would self-teach to be able to play my own music. And that's how I developed my technique. And I would add that I spent a lot of time improvising, and which helped developing the technique as well. But I really rarely put on a metronome and work on scales and arpeggios. I think you should get rid of that, as fast as you can. It's just like learning a language. You can learn the grammar, the syntax, the vocabulary, but you really have to make your own sentences, and you have to forget about all these things to express yourself. So that's the ultimate goal for me in music, is to express myself and to convey emotions and feelings. And so technique helps me do that, but I don't really focus on technique that much. I really focus on interpreting my own music the best I can.
So to be clear, when you're talking about having 50, that's 50 songs. That's the repertoire of all the original music you've created, and the upkeep of keeping all those things up to speed in and of itself keeps your technique fresh because, like you say, you play such complex technical music that you have a little bit of everything kind of sprinkled everywhere. So you're going to hit everything just by keeping your repertoire up to the level it needs to be.
Yeah, and I have to be able to play that music, whatever the circumstances are. If I can hear myself properly on stage, if there is no light, absolutely no light on stage, I have to be able to keep my eyes, and take a look at the audience and to make it look like it's easy, but actually it's not. So I have to rehearse a lot to make sure all the combinations, all the transitions, are really nice to hear and seem natural. But to make it look natural, it's actually a lot of rehearsal. And the more songs you have, the more difficult it gets because it could be confusing. Sometimes you have parts that sound similar but are a little different from one song to another. So that's challenging, and I really want to be able to interpret my repertoire the best I can, and it's emotional playing music, so I really need to push that sound, that music to the audience, and I want to move and to touch them, emotionally speaking, I don't want them to feel like, wow, he's got great technique. I don't really care about that. I really appreciate when people tell me, that song, it really moved me, Yeah, exactly. So that's what I want to, that's my goal. That's my ultimate goal as a performer. But at the same time, I need to be comfortable. I need to not to think too much about it. I mean, so I have to make that whole bunch of songs natural to me.
Mm. When you practice the most in your life, because everyone goes through a phase. Like you say, you had this period of time where you were memorizing scales, memorizing arpeggios, which is a lot to get through, especially on an instrument like the guitar. How many hours a day were you practicing during that sort of intense period of your life?
It was all day long. It was obsessive. I didn't even count because I was so passionate and I loved the guitar and the music so much that I was obsessed by it. So I would play all day long, all night long, and when I was really attracted to chords or scales, I would spend nights trying to feel, to understand, to uncover the magic and the mysteries of music. So I wouldn't count. I never counted. It was all day long, all night long. And I think everybody has to go through this phase, I don't do that anymore. I wouldn't spend 16 hours playing guitar today. But I used to do that. And I think it's really important for a musician to go through this process, Now I play every day. And I think it's really important to maintain that. But at the same time, sometimes, some days I can play 2 hours. And if I have to really record something like the album and I want to get it done, I can spend 12 or 14 hours, but I can do that for like 5 days in a row. I can't do that anymore. It's not really physical. It's probably mental, maybe psychological, but yeah. I just have the stamina to do that for 5 days in a row, 12 hours per day. But I do need to, to play every day and to play like 2 to 3 hours every day to maintain what I consider, a good level, good mastery of the instrument.
What's your number one piece of advice for practicing?
To be consistent, to love what you play, and whatever things you practice, whenever you get bored, change the routine and stay focused. It's better to practice 2 hours with extreme concentration, no notifications on the phone, to isolate yourself from the rest of the world than to play 10 hours and be interrupted all the time. I mean, and you should be patient, and at the same time, you should want to get results now. You know, it's not in 6 months, it's not in 6 years, it's now. But at the same time, you should be patient because it requires some time, some consistency, and some discipline to get the results.
Pascal, do you think we could distill that down into having two different types of goals, having a today goal and a tomorrow goal, and having like a 5 month, 6 month, 1 year goal of where you're trying to go?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly, and it depends on the music you want to play too. I mean, obviously, I was attracted to instrumental music, which is technical. To me, it's not technical, but to most people, it is.
Yes.
So. It required hours and hours of playing, which I love to do. It's not labor. It's pleasure, passion, love. But I mean, if you play in a band and you play really simple stuff, you don't need to practice that much. The important thing is to love what you do. I mean, it really makes the difference. You can get amazing results if you love what you do, whatever the style, whatever the difficulty of the style you play. Music is love to me. If you don't love what you do, you shouldn't play music. It's the most important thing to be passionate about what you do.
What's the number one mistake you learn to avoid in practicing?
That's a good question. I made a lot of mistakes. I don't remember the first mistake I made.
But a very important one. What's an important mistake you learned to avoid that could help other people?
I would say guitar is a collection of different approaches. If you love soloing, you shouldn't take away chord stuff, riffs, because they're connected. Even if you want to be a good soloist, you have to work on rhythm, on chords, chord progressions, riffs, harmony, and it goes the other way around. If you don't like soloings and you just focus on rhythm parts, you should learn scales as well. So you should, be interested in all aspects of the instrument, to me. And the mistake I made when I started playing guitar, I wasn't attracted to chords, and it took me about 5 to 6 years to really get into chords. But at the same time, I think if you want to get good at something, you really need to focus on this thing and put other things apart and put the whole things together later. So sometimes these are just necessary mistakes for you to keep going and to evolve.
Yeah, you don't want to be the guitar player who shows up to the gig and goes, all right, everyone, you start playing the song. I'll be sitting over here. You let me know when it's time for me to play the solo. I'll stand up and I'll be ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, Pascal, how do you define success for yourself?
Success is freedom and love for me. I mean, the freedom to do what I love and to make a living out of it, obviously. And to not have anybody telling me what I have to do. You should play this, you should play that, you should do this, you should do that. The people who follow me and who like my music, I do stuff for me, but I like to share that with them, to share the music, the passion with them. And I really like the fact that with the internet, you don't need middlemen. You don't need other people to directly put out the music and share with the fans and with the people who love you. And so for me, that's the most important thing: freedom. So I've always played what I wanted to play. I've always played the music I wanted to play, and so for me, that's irreplaceable.
Pascal, do you think of yourself as a musician, or do you think of yourself as a human being who plays music?
That's a really good question, and that's a really tough one too. Probably a human being who needs music to survive, to heal, and to express himself, because music is really therapeutic and self-therapeutic. And I'm sure that I've always used music to heal myself, basically. Yeah. I think many musicians are probably a little sick and heal themselves with music, you know. So we're very lucky to have this way of expression, you know, because most people don't, and in everyday life they don't get the chance very often to express their feelings, you know, very freely the way we can do that with music, because with the words you're very limited, and you're also limited because of social behaviors. You know, you can tell someone, I'm feeling bad today, because you're going to embarrass that person, or maybe relatives, you can tell them that. But other than that, in a social context, it's very difficult to say, you know what, today I'm really sad. I just want to cry, and I feel bad. You know, you can grab your guitar and make a beautiful piece of music out of that. And that's irreplaceable, because you can do that with words in a daily context, I mean, social context. It's very difficult. So from that perspective, I feel blessed to have music and to be able to play guitar in a way that I'm free enough to express my feelings.
What's your number one piece of advice on achieving goals in music?
Believe in yourself. I would say believe in yourself. Don't listen to what people say around you. Listen to the inner voice, to what you really want to do, and believe in your dreams. And if you lack confidence, self-confidence, re-educate yourself, get some help, and bring and build that confidence that you need to be able to make all those accomplishments and to offer music to people around you, you know. But you really need to be encouraged in life, and I think it starts in your family, basically. You know, I was lucky enough to be encouraged by my parents, and so it gave me a lot of confidence to be able to make music and to share it with different people. But I see so many people that didn't have, you know, this chance and need to build this confidence on their own, you know. And so believe in yourself, love what you do, don't listen to other people, just make your dreams come true and share your music with the world.
What's the number one mistake you've learned along the way to avoid when it comes to setting and achieving goals?
I think you can rapidly become your own worst enemy. I mean, it's mind stuff, but, you know, doubts, when you're not sure of being legitimate, you know, am I good enough? Am I going to be mocked? Are people going to like me? You know, simple stuff. So I needed some time to get rid of all this stuff, but it's just mental stuff. I mean, nobody was like that. It was just me, you know, the inner voice sometimes saying a bunch of things that really kept me from moving forward. And we were talking about mindfulness meditation, and it helped me quite a lot to not to ignore those thoughts, but just to not believe in them, you know, just letting them go by and not identify with those thoughts, you know. It helped me a lot in that way. So for me, that was the biggest mistake, was to be to listen to my worst enemy, which is myself sometimes.
What do you do to protect your creative space, both physically and mentally?
I need a space where I can play on my own and not be disturbed. You know, when you have a child, that's a little more complicated because obviously the child becomes the center. So you really need to be there for the baby, for the child. But I really need to get some privacy and some private moments just to play on my own, So having this environment is really important to me. If I didn't have this space, I would feel miserable after a while because I need to be on my own, actually. Not for too long because I would feel lonely, but I need to play on my own, and I really need to focus 100% on the music and the music coming from the inside out,
Now, you may have already answered this question indirectly, but is the time of day you feel the most creative going to be that nighttime when you want to play and you're just feeling the groove?
Not necessarily.
Ooh.
Sometimes it can be in the morning, even though I don't want to play guitar, but because grabbing the instrument first time in the morning is really fresh, sometimes I have new ideas appearing, and I have no explanation for this. And of course, at night, I can be really creative too. Sometimes I can get creative when I'm teaching, which is really bothering because obviously I can say to my students, get out of here. I need to work on the new idea. That would be rude. You never know when inspiration, comes along. So there's no rule. Sometimes you just feel really good and there's nothing coming. You just play guitar, it's fun, but there's no inspiration whatsoever. Sometimes you just feel bad. You grab the instrument and next thing you know, a new riff comes along, new idea, new melody. So really, I have no method whatsoever. Inspiration is really is no science. So you just need to recognize when something appears and to have, a good reaction, grabbing the phone, recording the idea, singing the idea, and recording it on the phone or going to the studio, because otherwise you can forget it, and it's the worst thing that can happen. It happened to me many times, waking up in the middle of the night. Oh, I have this great idea. Okay, but I'm really tired, so I go back to sleep, and I record it in the morning, and then you wake up and you have forgotten the idea. So,
Well, Pascal, have you ever had a moment where you did too much hyper focus, too much focus on music, and you became saturated, you became burned out from too much focus on music?
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you recover from that?
I just take a break from music, actually. I just do other things, totally different things. And it happens to me very often, actually, because I spend so much time, playing music, teaching, that I get saturated very often. And I don't listen to music that much, After a whole day of playing music, teaching, recording, I do other things. So I would go out for a walk. I would go to, have a drink or take a small trip, ride my bike, whatever. Play with my daughter, have a few friends over. But I need to take a break, actually. As I was saying a few minutes ago, I wouldn't be able to play 12 hours for 5 days in a row nowadays, because that obviously that would be too much for me. So I always want the playing to be fresh, to be fun, and just like when I was a teenager and I was playing in my room and I was dreaming, eating, sleeping music, living music. I just want to keep that feeling alive. So, if playing too much music is counterproductive, I take a break. That's what I do.
What's your number one piece of advice for developing and deepening creativity?
Wow. I think you have to let go of the things you've learned, From a practicing point of view, all these things are valid, but when it comes to creating, you just have to let go, and And it's not because you master all the tools that you have things to say on the instrument. So the big question is, what, as an individual, as an artist, what do you have to say on the instrument? You can master all the techniques, all the chords, all the scales, all the intricate arpeggios, the inversions, the licks, the intricate licks, complex licks. But at the end of the day, it's really, what do you have to say on the instrument? You can't learn that from a teacher. You can't learn that in a music school. Being creative, there's no exercise, there's no method, because we're talking about being inspired, expressing yourself. So that's a big question. So you should think about that. Can you turn your emotions into music? When you watch this big lake in the mountains, does that evoke something to you? Are you sensitive to that? If you see a child smile or laugh, does that evoke something to you? If somebody broke your heart, was that so bad that you really felt that you need to make music out of it? I mean, then you have the tools, but you need to be sensitive first. So remember, there's no exercise and no method to develop your sensitivity. Yeah.
I think the one thing I would very gently push back on that with is I agree with you 100%. You cannot teach creativity. However, when you're not feeling creative, you can have tools and mechanisms with which you still can create things like permutation math. Like if you look at the Michelin star chefs in three-star restaurants, you'll see them take 20 ingredients and do every single combination of those 20 ingredients to find all the different possible flavors, right? And then from there, find an avenue of creativity. So using math, using thinking to generate opportunities for creativity. Would you agree with that, Pascal?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I was really thinking about being inspired.
Yes, indeed.
Which leads to being creative. Sometimes you have a great idea, but you get stuck, and you're not inspired anymore. Does that mean that you can do anything with this idea and that you won't be creative anymore? No. And the tools you were mentioning, and other tools as well, can help you develop that, It happened to me many times. I had this great chord and this great chord progression, and I was totally stuck. And I used harmony, to develop the song, and it helped me being creative again, So I totally agree with you. You can use whatever you want, as long as it works, and as long as it helps you, being creative again. Yeah.
What do you think the number one mistake you've learned to avoid when trying to, and for our listeners on audio, I'm doing air quotes, be creative?
Yeah, you have really tough questions, you know that, Dan? I mean, if I go to the studio and I say to myself, okay, I'm going to be creative today, I'm going to write a song, most of the time it doesn't work that way. So I need to be attentive, but at the same time, I don't have to force myself. And when I force myself too much, I just get the opposite. I really, I don't feel creative anymore. So you can force yourself a little bit, but when it doesn't work, just put this song aside and come back later. Yeah.
Now, you are, in addition to being an incredible guitarist, you are also an amazing musician. You are also an incredible composer and a writer of songs as well, and of ideas. I say songs. We could parse the difference between composition and song all day. I mean everything I'm saying with the utmost respect. I don't mean to say that a song is less than a composition less than a song. What is your number one piece of advice for people who want to compose, or maybe we should just say create their own music?
You should record your compositions. You should try to arrange them, and you should rewrite them, because rewriting your own music is really a very good way to improve your playing, your arrangement skills, how this whole thing works in a studio environment, how you pan guitars, the reverb, the EQs. It's a big puzzle, and it's all different parts, and you need some time to improve these skills. And so rewriting, re-recording many times is a really good way to get a good result. And I should add that if it doesn't sound the way you want the first time, it's no big deal, because you can rewrite it in 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. It doesn't really matter. And with distance, you will definitely improve. So you should listen to yourself. You can also record yourself. Video taping yourself and watching yourself to improve your playing. But recording the audio is really important to me. So record as much as you can, because I'm really convinced that you can improve a lot by re-recording and rewriting your own music, especially in the beginning when you start. Because you can be a great composer, you can write good song ideas, but it doesn't mean that when you record yourself, you're going to be able to arrange and find the right tones for your songs. Arranging is really important. The way you pan guitars, the tone you're going to choose, the amp you're going to choose, the pedal. So if you're a guitar player and a composer, you should have, you should educate yourself about gear as well. It's otherwise just playing is not enough, especially in our modern times. You need to have other skills as well, and arranging your song is a major skill.
Pascal, how do you balance the dichotomy of iteration and re-recording with now I'm done? Because at some point, no one is perfect. You're going to have to pick. You're going to have to pick a stop to get off the train, right? The train could keep going forever, but you have to pick a stop to get off. How do you do that? How do you approach that?
The only thing that helps me say now I'm done is the deadline. Having a deadline. If I don't have a deadline, I will never stop. I will continue rearranging, redoing stuff, trying to improve the song, finding better arrangements, better tones, better interpretation, and whatnot. But having a deadline, for me, makes me really, really productive. And so I would say, but as I work on my own, and I have nobody telling me what I have to do. I have to be my own boss and say, December 15th, the album has to come out, and so it needs to be finished. All right? So you have 3 months ahead of you. Get it done, and spend the necessary time to get the whole process done. And so this helps me a lot because I have this pressure, and then it's a feeling when I listen to the music. Sometimes I just have this inner voice which says, "Oh yeah, it's done, it's finished." Yeah.
At what point did you start to experience that inner voice? Because I suspect you did not have that inner voice on day one.
Well, no, you're right about that. It's it's feeling of joy. Just you listen to your own music and you're like, yeah, that's what I had in mind. That's what I wanted to express. That's it. I've got it. It's not necessarily 10 tracks out of 10 tracks on an album.
Sure.
It can be like 6 tracks, and there are 4 tracks you're like, yeah, okay, I can release the tracks, but maybe I could have done better. But yeah, if like for 6 tracks, I have this feeling that they're finished. I have this feeling of joy. I'm like, yeah, that's what I had in mind. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to hear. And that's a good sign.
Pascal, we've come full circle because just as we talked about in the beginning, as much as you are a master technician on the instrument, it's all about the feeling in the heart. And
Exactly.
we talked about just now in the writing, the same exact principle of you could think about the tones, the licks, the arrangement, all these not necessarily technical, but these quantifiable things. But really, at the end of the day, does it hit your heart? Do you feel it? Is it an emotional impact?
Exactly. It's all about that. I mean, music, that's emotion. That's pure emotion. And I was, even when I didn't play guitar when I was really young, I was so moved by music, really moved by music. If I listened to a sad song, it could make me cry. I was really attracted to beautiful melodies, and they had this power on me. And that's what I wanted to do as a musician. I wanted to create beautiful melodies. I don't know if I have succeeded or not, but that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to create beautiful melodies and to touch people's hearts and souls with the music. Whether it's technical, very technical, not technical, I really don't care. It's just like speaking a foreign language. We're talking now. I'm speaking a foreign language. It's not my mother tongue, but I need the words, the precise words, to be able to express my feelings. If I don't have the words, the right words, and sometimes I don't have them because I haven't spoken English for a while, but I need to get the words. I need to be able to make the sentences and to be able to express myself, as good as I can to convey the idea or the feeling I want. And for me, playing the guitar is the exact same thing. I need to be able to grab the notes, the combination of notes, the way I attack them, the way I project them, to be able to convey this emotion as good as I can. So there's no difference for me between speaking a language and playing music. It's about conveying emotions and having the tools and the freedom to express them.
Well, Pascal, thank you so much. Pascal's latest album, Funky Cyborg, is out now and available at pascalv.com and streaming on all platforms. One last time, folks, that's pascalv.com. Support the artist. Go buy direct from Pascal. Pascal, thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy day away from your family to come chat with us and share your expertise and your insights.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks a lot for having me, Dan. It's so good to see you again. It's been a while. And thank you for your time and for having me on your podcast.